Did you know that one of Ohio State University's buildings was once an asylum? Yep, that's right. Throughout the late 19th century and till the late 20th century, one of Ohio State University buildings ran as a asylum for patients where they will get treatment, and I use the term loosely as back in those days, people who needed treatment weren't treated as equally back then. It was famously known as the Athens Lunatic Asylum. The Athens Mental Health Center, also known as the Athens Lunatic Asylum, was built in 1874, which ran up until the 1980s when President Ronald Reagan ordered most of the institution, including the hospital, to be shut down after many reports of neglect and brutality have been reported amongst staffs and patients and doctors. This hospital was no exception. Originally, it was meant to be what we called heaven on earth, as many institutions back in the late 19th century and early 20th century were very unpleasant, as they claimed, and decided to create a more better and more appealing appearance for those who are seeking treatment. However, this was far from paradise on earth, as soon as the hospital received its first 250 patients, that's when its dark history began. Many patients were neglected and met with brutality among staffs, doctors, even other patients, as many of them knew nothing how to handle the patients and simply don't care. That is until one day in 1900 when everything changed. In 1900, Beers was committed to the hospital after a series of illness after the loss of his brother, and have endured 8 years of neglect and brutality towards staff and doctors and other patients before he was finally released. After this horrific experience, he wrote a book about his experience, which many have read, which had contributed to the closing of the hospital, which led to many institutions to install regulations which created somewhat of a more pleasant and more kinder treatment towards patients. But nothing much has changed, yet the brutality and neglect of the patients among staffs and doctors within the Athens Lunatic Asylum continues, right up until the 1980s. In the 1980s, President Ronald Reagan began closing many institutions, including the Athens Lunatic Asylum. While the asylum is now since closed, its haunting and dark history continues, as one report back in 1979, when a woman who was a patient at the hospital went missing after signing out to go out on an outing, as back then, patients were allowed to walk off the premises as long as they're backed by curfew, 8 p.m. in the summertime and 6 p.m. in the wintertime. However, she never returned after curfew and she was found missing. After days of searching, they gave up. And weeks later, the asylum closed. But what they didn't realize is that she had been hiding in one of the storage, which has once been used to treat patients who were getting treatment at the time, but no one noticed. They locked the doors, unknowing that the woman who has been hiding for weeks, despite the staff's searching for her, there she remained, where she spent the remainder of her days trapped and locked in the storage room until her body was discovered a month later. And even though her body has been removed, to this day, the imprints of her body still remains today, serving as a dark and haunting reminder of the asylum's dark past. Today, the asylum is now a part of Ohio State University, which is open to the public and offer many tours for many visitors, and some had even visited the spot where the woman had been found, and her imprint still remains today. Some even experienced paranormal activities as the dark past of the asylum continues to echo to this day. It is not the spirits that haunts the asylum today. It is the dark and tragedy of the past that continues to haunt and echoes through the halls of the asylum. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and comment your favorite ghost stories and give me your suggestion on which haunted stories or haunted places I should talk about next. And until next time, stay classy, and I'll see you all in the next video.